What are some ugly facts about famous and well-liked people of history that aren't well known by the public? Eddie Murphy got Scary Spice pregnant and refused to believe it was his. Then he took a blood test which proved he was the father after all, and he still wants nothing to do with the kid. In total he has 8 kids with 4 different women. Actually, he could start his own daddy daycare. On the 5th of August, 1987, actor Matthew Broderick was driving on a country road in Enniskillen, Northern Ireland with then-girlfriend and Ferris Bueller's Day Off co-star Jennifer Grey when his car veered into the wrong lane, colliding with an oncoming vehicle. The 2 passengers of the other car, 30-year-old Anna Gallagher and her 63-year-old mother Margaret Doherty, were killed instantly. Broderick spent a month in the hospital, but because of memory loss, he was unable to explain what happened. It was determined that the actor wasn't drunk at the time of the accident, and he was charged with causing death by dangerous driving, although he was eventually convicted only of careless driving, escaping with a $175 fine. Initially upset at the ruling, the victim's family has since come to terms with it and met with Broderick in 2003 to gain a sense of closure. I didn't see Ted Kennedy mentioned anyway. He drove a car with a passenger off of a bridge into a channel, got out and left the scene and went back to his hotel room, fell asleep, was awoken by a party somewhere in the building, complained to the hotel manager, and didn't report the accident for 9 hours. The passenger drowned. He got a 2-month sentence, and even that was suspended. Mark Wahlberg only served 45 days in jail for an unprovoked, racially motivated attack in 1988 that left one of 2 victims blind. He was initially charged with attempted murder. Dr. Seuss had an affair while his wife suffered from cancer and depression. She killed herself and he married his mistress a few months later. This is what I think of every time someone says, "Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." Shaun White is a total douche. Source: I went to high school with this giant douche. John Lennon beat his wife. Sean Penn beat Madonna with a baseball bat. There is a good chance that Martin Luther King plagiarized a good part of his thesis. And don't even get me started on Gandhi. Pablo Picasso had several mistresses, one of which killed herself, 2 of which became emotionally traumatized insane, and he was horrid to his wife. Vincent van Gogh didn't give his cut-off ear to his girlfriend. He gave it to a prostitute who he became infatuated with after being a customer for a very long time. Phil Lewis Akahuche Mosby was drunk driving and killed someone in the process. Thomas Edison invented very few of the things people think he did. He had a small team of people he would pay next to nothing to come up with ideas which he would then patent and take credit for. There are a fair few others I know of that I could put down, but I'm pretty sure most of them will be covered in this thread. If I don't see any of them, I'll add them. This thread has potential, as long as it doesn't just turn into a load of unverifiable bullshit about people Reddit hates already. Laura Bush ran a stop sign and killed someone as a teenager. Bill Murray's ex-wife claimed he beat her, and he has never denied it. He beat her and then said to her, "No one will ever believe you." Gandhi refused to let doctors administer penicillin to his wife, which led to her death, yet accepted quinine to save his life. He also frequently nukes me in Civ 5, but that's another story. Tom Allen was caught smuggling a good quantity of coke onto a commercial airplane in the 1970s, and I am pretty sure he ratted out his partner to avoid jail time. Not only his partners, but every single person in the ring he was a part of. Fried chicken chef and owner of the fast food chain Los Pollos Hermanos was one of the largest meth distributors in the American Southwest. His was some of the finest chicken around, so good it gave the colonel a run for his money. As most people know, what most people don't know is that his blue meth was the bomb diggity. It's quite easy to find info on how Abraham Lincoln repeatedly violated the Constitution during his term, suspended the writ of habeas corpus, jailed critics and journalists, etc., and how he only freed slaves in an effort to win the Civil War. Charles Dickens separated from his wife after 22 years of marriage after he fell in love with an 18-year-old actress, then went on to have a letter published in numerous newspapers in which he accused his wife of being responsible for the separation, and calling her stupid, morbidly depressed and a bad mother. Martin Luther King repeatedly cheated on his wife. Of course this has no bearing on his career as an activist. but it tends to get covered up in the hero worship of the man. Multiple pieces of evidence have appeared that confirm this, such as memoirs by his friends and colleagues, and even declassified FBI records from when they were spying on him. Not a famous person, but the Nestlé Corporation went into starving third world countries and gave pregnant women a free tin of powdered baby formula. Sounds nice, right? Well, while the women were giving their newborns this instant formula, their breast milk dried up. The women couldn't afford to keep buying formula, so thousands of babies starved to death. I think Nestle still does this some places, but I'm not sure. I'm also pretty sure the cacao in their chocolate products is harvested by child slaves. May or may not be well known, but the founder of Scientology and science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard joined the military when he was younger, and his military record has been much inflated by the church's members. In fact, most of his military records indicate he was substandard, and instead of being blinded by an exploding bomb as he claimed, he was actually hospitalized due to an ulcer. Also of note, his wife and several other high-ranking members of the church were caught conspiring to infiltrate the IRS and destroy tax records for the church and use blackmail to gain influence in Congress. It was known as Operation Snow White. Lance Armstrong is actually a horrible litterbug. It's not statistically proven yet, but it seems most men on British TV in the 1970s were sexually assaulting children or young women. If not that, they at least got a bit handsy. While he was in Nevada, Johnny Cash murdered a man for no particular reason. That Nigerian prince was lying. Michael Jordan was a degenerate gambler. He's also rumored to be quite a dick. Beethoven is a personal hero to me, but he was not a very nice person. He had a terrible relationship with his sister-in-law, calling her the queen of the night, and spent 10 years of his life trying to take her son Carl away from her. Eventually he was able to tarnish her reputation to the point where he got custody of Carl, and was a terrible and abusive father to the kid. Carl had to wear a truss for a testicular hernia, and Beethoven would pull him by it when he was mad. Also, those 10 years where Beethoven was fighting for custody, he wrote almost no music, and this was between his middle and late period. Mankind lost a lot of immortal masterpieces during that time. Eric Clapton went on a terribly racist rant at one of his concerts decades ago. Abraham Lincoln probably gave his wife syphilis. Her symptoms later in life are consistent with tertiary syphilis. Miles Davis was a woman beater and kind of a crazy affair in general. As it happens, he also made very beautiful music. Can't believe no one has mentioned the most famous one. Walt Disney was a massive anti-Semite. Evidently I was mistaken. I regret nothing. Martin Heidegger, the great German philosopher, author of Sein und Zeit, Being and Time, was an artsy. He only regained some bits of his dignity when Jean-Paul Sartre started citing him and giving due praise for his rigid works of philosophy. He's a great philosopher, not necessarily a great person. His colleagues, students, and even his family were surprised with his decisions. Not that famous around the world, but still made me sad. The New Zealand rugby player, Julian Savea, hugely talented young sportsman and cover star for anti-abuse charities, is currently on bail for beating the mother of his child. Didn't really want to believe it. Also, Jimmy Savile wasn't that great. All 4 of the presidents on Mt. Rushmore were in favor of Native American ethnic cleansing. Then, as an ultimate slap in the face to the Native Americans, they enshrined them on Native American sacred land.